TokyoBill Weekly Update. Stories in and around Japan of interest to me, TokyoBill. Today is September 20th, 2025. Children participated in soil-water absorption experiments in a tiny forest near Edinburgh, Scotland, guided by woodland officer Ellie Kinross. This small, dense forest is part of a growing urban reforestation movement using a method developed in Japan, the Miyawaki method, which aims to accelerate native forest growth. These urban forests are recognized for ecological advantages like enhanced biodiversity and carbon absorption, and for providing city residents access to nature. Although some critics question their efficacy compared to larger forests, research indicates they can support diverse species and create urban ecological corridors. The work, pioneered by Akira Miyawaki in the 1970s, has positively impacted local wildlife and community engagement, with aspirations to expand urban plantings in Scotland and other nations in a cost-effective manner. Cockroaches are unfortunately familiar in Japan's cities, but a recent incident involving a cockroach found in a bowl of ramen at a restaurant in Kyoto has highlighted concerns in Japan's food industry. The non-native American cockroach, spreading rapidly, is harder to get rid of than domestic species. Previously mainly in Okinawa and southern Japan, this invasive species is causing headaches for restaurants and restaurant chains, as the American cockroach prefers warm, humid places, which make restaurants a target. Unfortunately, conventional pest control sprays haven't worked well, and the most effective new strategy is to use longer-lasting insecticides, generally applied on surfaces after closing hours. Japan will introduce a new system for bicycle traffic violations in April 2026, where minor offenses require payment of a fine, a so-called blue ticket. The revised rules cite 113 violations that will apply to cyclists aged 16 and up, with fines ranging from 3,000 to 12,000 yen. Police will generally provide guidance and warnings, but immediate fines may be issued should they observe cyclists engaging in repeat or obvious infractions. Certain dangerous violations, like cycling while drunk, will still result in criminal charges with red tickets. The National Police Agency published the new rulebook on September 4th, available on its website. Moves to introduce pseudonyms are increasing in Japan to protect workers' privacy and reduce customer harassment. Whereas such business names may be seen as inauthentic, employers see the need to protect employee privacy without affecting service quality. A municipal government in Osaka Prefecture, Neyagawa, has allowed some of their workers to use business names for their workers to ensure a safer work environment following threats or harassment by citizens. While some tasks still require real names, staff can use hiragana for name tags when interacting with the public, rather than kanji, which is more identifying. Regulations were relaxed for bus and taxi drivers in Japan, and recently shops and cafes have adopted similar measures. But before you think it too strange, just remember, almost every entertainer on television has adopted a pseudonym. The Japanese sake brewer, Asahi Shuzo, recently changed its name to that of its popular main product, Dasai, to enhance global brand recognition and boost sales abroad. This includes opening a brewery in New York State as a response to U.S. tariffs. CEO Kazuhiro Sakurai aims for overseas markets to make up 70% of sales, noting declining domestic consumption. Although Sakurai regrets leaving behind the long-standing name, he notes the confusion many buyers may have, as Asahi is a name used by many Japanese companies, including the unrelated beverage giant that makes the popular beer Asahi Superdry. The name Dasai is actually inspired by river otters, which are often seen in the area near the Yamaguchi Prefecture brewery. Following a meeting in late August between UK Defense Secretary John Healey and Japanese Defense Secretary Gen Nakatani, it was announced that the Japan Air Self-Defense Force JASDF, will send F-15J fighters to Germany and the UK for the first time. Mr. Nakatani confirmed on Friday that the fighter jets from Hokkaido were being sent for a 2-week stint, along with 4 refueling transport planes. Though joint training isn't on the table, this is regarded as a chance to enhance communications and witness several partner forces, including those from Canada and the United States. The aim of the mission is to draw attention to the link between security in the Euro-Atlantic and Indo-Pacific regions and to improve collaboration between partners. Research from Naruto University of Education found that the eggs of some stink bugs, also known as shield bugs, have evolved to be elongated in shape, which helps the parent shield them from predators. Laid on leaves and stood over by the mother, elongated eggs are easier to protect than round ones. Lead researcher, Associate Professor Shinichi Kudo, explored how egg shape relates to parental care, focusing on stink bug species where females guard the eggs. Over 30 years, researchers studied these insects across Japan, noting that species with protective mothers had more elongated eggs. This elongated shape evolved alongside that of maternal care behavior, contradicting established beliefs about parental care development. The study was published in the British journal Biological Journal of the Linnaean Society. Japan celebrated Respect for the Aged Day on Monday, a national holiday where seniors are given thanks for their wisdom and contribution to society. With that in mind, let's spotlight the 66-year-old woman who participated in this year's Miss Universe Japan pageant, homemaker and grandmother Junko Sakai. Encouraged by her husband and children to do something special for herself, and with age and marital status restrictions lifted for this year's competition, Sakai was easily able to reach the preliminary finals, sharing the spotlight with 41 other contestants, almost all in their 20s. Initially, she joined to encourage older people, but later realized she could inspire younger women. Following her months-long training for the pageant, she now teaches women with walking difficulties and those unused to high heels how to present themselves with grace and confidence. Following a Danish media report earlier this week, Taiwan's Ministry of Foreign Affairs held a press release Tuesday condemning the Chinese ambassador to Denmark's disrespectful behavior earlier this year. At a reception held on February 26 at the Japanese embassy in Denmark, celebrating Japanese Emperor Naruhido's birthday, Wang Juefeng expressed his displeasure about Taiwan's presence in front of Danish officials and other attendees. Wang confronted the Japanese ambassador and threateningly pointed at Taiwan's representative, Robin Cheng. Despite his insistence for Cheng's removal, the request was ignored. Since taking office last year, Wang has shown an aggressive approach to Denmark, including Danish media. Similar so-called wolf warrior incidents have occurred in the Philippines, Czech Republic, and Fiji in the previous years. 11 Japanese scientists were awarded the Ig Nobel Prize in Biology for an experiment demonstrating that painting zebra-like stripes on cattle significantly reduces the number of biting flies that land on them. Their 2019 research, using waterborne lacquers on black cows, found that the striping pattern reduced fly landings by up to 50%, presenting a potential alternative to pesticides that could benefit animal welfare, human health, and the environment. This award marks the 19th consecutive year a Japanese national has been among the winners of the light-hearted Ig Nobel Prizes, which are given for research that first make people laugh and then make them think. The study built upon previous European research that indicated flies land less frequently on white horses. Japanese driving schools are diversifying into drone training programs to counteract a declining client base attributed to the falling birth rate. These schools are offering practical instruction in operating unmanned aircraft, aiming to impart skills for safe flight and preparation for national pilot licenses. Some schools focus on basic piloting, others offer specialized courses for crop dusters and for underwater drones. Of the 820 registered drone practice institutions, over 100 are affiliated with driving schools, triple the number from 2 years ago. These schools are leveraging their existing classroom facilities and operational teaching expertise. This strategic shift allows them to adapt to societal changes and capitalize on the growing drone industry. Japan reported a record 1.2 million phishing cases in the first half of 2025, according to the National Police Agency. This increase in phishing complaints mostly involves fraudulent emails that trick people into visiting fake websites where their personal information can be obtained. Voice phishing scams, where criminals garner personal data over the phone, have been on the rise since late 2024, leading to securities account breaches. In April, the amount of fraudulent financial transactions had risen to approximately 292 billion yen, and by May, the number of phishing emails from supposed securities firms rose as high as 74,000. The total number of cases this year is expected to surpass last year's record of over 1.7 million, compared to just 56,000 cases reported in 2019. A Japan Medical Association (JMA) survey found that about 40% of Japanese general clinics operated at a loss in fiscal year 2024, a significant increase from 25% in fiscal year 2023. JMA President Kiichiro Matsumoto attributed this trend to rising prices and labor costs, exacerbated by inflation, the cessation of COVID-19 subsidies, and the end of special medical service fee measures. Matsumoto called for substantial increases in medical service fees and government subsidies in the fiscal 2026 revision, warning that persistent losses could lead to clinic bankruptcies and harm community health care. Other associations, representing hospitals, also called on the government for assistance due to increased costs. And that brings us to the end of news items for the week ending September 20th. These and other stories you can read at theTokyoBill.com. I've been and remain Tokyo Bill. Thank you for listening, and take care.